You've always been the family's punching bag. My father chuckled after I'd been footing the bill for every holiday for years. Get out of my life, I finally snapped, after purchasing a grand estate without a word to them and barring their entry. Every holiday season, as always, I braced myself for their usual jabs. The taunts came with forced grins and clinking glasses. You're always such a letdown, my dad would snicker, elbowing my brother as if I were their private gag. My mother never intervened. Just try not to act weird this time, all right? She'd say. I'd plaster on a fake smile, nod, and fetch chairs from the shed or help with the table, like I was just a side character in my own life. I'm Nathan, 34. For most of my adult years, I played the part they assigned me, the quiet, odd one. I wasn't like my brother Caleb, who climbed the corporate ladder, or my sister Rachel, who never stopped gushing about her newborn. I was the one who wasted his 20s bouncing between gigs, freelancing, trying out new ventures, and running small businesses no one got. But it paid off eventually. I never bragged about my work. When I built apps for local stores, they dismissed it as a quirky pastime. When I started consulting for tech companies, they rolled their eyes, asking when I'd land a proper job. Even when I launched a software company that took off during the pandemic, they scoffed when I mentioned hiring help. Hiring? What, like a pal to tweak your blog? Caleb teased over Christmas dinner as Dad carved the ham like he was auditioning for a cooking show. So I stopped trying to explain my career. It wasn't worth the effort. No matter my achievements, I was the family's failure, the one they were embarrassed by. The breaking point wasn't dramatic. It was Rachel's 37th birthday last year. Mom rented a winery for it. There were gourmet appetizers, a live violinist, and a montage of Rachel's milestones. Baby photos, her college graduation, even a snapshot of her flaunting her first paycheck. During the toasts, Caleb raised his glass and said, "To Rachel, proof that hard work pays off." Everyone laughed. Aunt Clara clapped. Then Mom chimed in, "And to Nathan, for keeping us guessing." More laughter. My hands trembled around my wine glass. That night, I stayed to help tidy up, not for them, but because the catering staff seemed exhausted. As I loaded chairs into the van, Caleb strolled by, smirking. "Still the errand boy, huh?" he muttered, loud enough for me to catch, but soft enough to feign innocence. I didn't respond. I finished the task, drove home silently, but that silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. I'd been saving quietly for years. Tech work can be unpredictable, but I'd been savvy, cutting expenses, investing wisely, and setting up systems to run smoothly. That spring, I bought a stunning modern home in an exclusive gated community on a hill. It had floor-to-ceiling windows, cutting-edge tech, and a backyard that made realtors pause in awe. It was my sanctuary. My family didn't know, not because I concealed it, but because they never cared to ask. I signed the deed, moved in, and for the first time did something purely for myself. I threw a housewarming bash, a grand affair. I invited close friends, loyal former clients, and supportive colleagues. Not one family member got an invite. When someone suggested a brunch that weekend, I said I was occupied. I made the party's Facebook invite private, but not invisible. That was deliberate. The night was magical. Fairy lights twinkled over the deck. The aroma of catered dishes filled the air. Laughter echoed through every corner of my home. People who saw me as someone who mattered, not just a shadow. We had music, heartfelt toasts, and even some karaoke by the fire pit. I posed for photos with everyone, grinned beside a Prosecco fountain, and gave a brief speech because my old mentor insisted. My friend Laura posted a picture of me on the balcony, arms raised, city skyline glowing behind me, captioned, "From misfit to mogul. So proud of you, Nathan." That post sparked the chaos. The next morning, my phone was flooded with missed calls. 8 from Mom, 4 from Caleb, 2 from Rachel, and 1 from an unknown number, Aunt Clara. My Facebook was a storm. Though I rarely used it, I was tagged in photos, stories, and a video of me cutting a ribbon at my front door with oversized scissors. I hadn't posted anything myself, but I didn't hide it either. The comments were heartwarming. "Nathan, your place is incredible. When did this happen? You deserve this. Congrats, I'm emotional." But buried among the praise were barbs. "Why didn't we get an invite?" From my cousin Emily. Rachel wrote, "Your family should have been there. This stings." Mom's was sharp. "Some people forget who brought them up." Even Caleb added, "So the side hustle paid off?" Could have told us. I didn't respond. Not to the comments, voicemails, or Mom's long text accusing me of humiliating the family and making them feel like outsiders. That word, humiliated, lingered. I stared at it, then deleted her message. But it didn't end there. 2 days later, Caleb showed up at my gate, jabbing the intercom like we were still buddies. I didn't open it immediately. I stood in my kitchen, coffee in hand, watching him on the security screen. He looked irritated. dressed in his office attire, pressed shirt, flashy watch, and that familiar pre-lecture expression. He buzzed again. "Nathan, I'm not here to fight. Just let me in." I didn't reply. I waited. On the third buzz, he pulled out his phone. My screen lit up. "Nathan, open the gate. I'm not leaving until we talk." I waited another minute, exhaled, and pressed the button. He drove up slowly, scanning the property like he couldn't believe it. He parked in the pristine driveway, stepped out, and approached the door without a word. I opened it before he could knock. He stood there, arms folded. "So this is legit," he said. I leaned against the door frame. "Yup." "Why didn't you tell us?" he asked. I gave a dry chuckle. "When's the last time you asked about my life, Caleb?" He rolled his eyes. "Come on, we're family." "You called my work a joke," I shot back. "You treated me like the guy who just fetches stuff. Every holiday you made it clear I was the family's failure." He raised a hand. "That's not fair." "It's exactly fair," I said, sharper. "You all did it. You thought the jabs were funny, but they weren't. Year after year, they broke me down until I stopped sharing." For a moment, he looked uncertain, at a loss. He glanced inside the house. "This place is unreal," he muttered. "Must have cost a fortune." I stayed silent. He was fishing, trying to gauge my success without them. "I'm not here to fight," he repeated. "But Mom's really hurt. So's Rachel. You made them look bad." I almost laughed. "Made them look bad? You've called me the embarrassment for a decade, but now that I do something big without you, I'm the villain?" Caleb shifted uncomfortably. "She cried, you know, Mom, when she saw the photos." "She also cried when I dropped out of grad school," I replied. "Said I'd amount to nothing. Maybe she just hates surprises." He looked away. "Look, I'm not saying we were perfect. You were cruel, Caleb, all of you, and you didn't even notice." Silence hung between us. He cleared his throat. "So what now? You're just cutting us off, acting like we don't exist?" I met his gaze. "The same brother who pushed me out of family photos, who said at Christmas I was lucky to even be invited. Now you're at my door, expecting an invite." "I'm not pretending anything," I said calmly. "I'm just choosing who gets to be in my world." His face hardened. "So this is your payback." "This isn't revenge," I said softly. "This is freedom." Another pause. He turned to leave, but stopped before his car. "You're still bitter," he said. "Even a mansion can't fix that." I didn't budge. "And you're still smug. Parties won't change that either." He drove off. Later, I got a text from Emily with a screenshot of a group chat I wasn't in. Mom wrote, "I don't know why he's acting like this. We raised him, didn't we? Maybe he just likes making us look foolish?" Rachel replied, "He's always been odd," Caleb added. "Let him have his moment." It won't last. That last line hit me. It won't last. They still didn't believe this was real. To them, my success was a fluke. They couldn't admit I'd made it because that would mean they'd misjudged me all along. So I decided, no arguments, no retaliation. I'd just keep moving forward and make sure they saw it. The next day, I agreed to guest on a major tech podcast. That week, I signed with a professional agency to scale my consulting into a full-fledged business. I updated my LinkedIn with party photos, nothing showy, just enough to show I was thriving. I didn't care if they approved. I just wanted them to know they weren't my orbit anymore. Then things shifted. 3 days later, Mom sent something, not a text or comment, but a letter, delivered by courier. It was a thick, ivory envelope, like for a formal event. I nearly tossed it aside like I'd done with so much I couldn't face. But curiosity won. Inside were 5 handwritten pages on her favorite lined paper, her script unchanged since my childhood. Tidy loops, heavy underlines for emphasis. It began abruptly. "I don't know how to begin." I sat back, silenced my phone, and let my coffee cool. She wrote about feeling wounded, baffled, blindsided that I'd moved into a stunning home without telling them. She said the Facebook photos and kind words from strangers made it seem like they'd raised me to erase her. By page 2, her tone shifted. "You've always been theatrical, Nathan. Remember how you'd hide in your room as a kid if we teased you, even if it was just in fun? We're family. Families poke fun sometimes. It keeps us grounded." My chest tightened. This wasn't an apology. It was rewriting history, turning years of cruelty into lighthearted teasing, pain into tough love. Every line screamed, "You're the problem, Nathan. You're too sensitive." Page 3 was excuses. Caleb didn't mean it when he said I'd fail. Rachel always admired my independence. Dad wasn't harsh, just traditional, clueless about modern careers. She underlined old school. By page 4, she pivoted to demands. "Let's put this behind us. How about a family gathering? We could make it special. All of us together." Then the real motive. "Emily mentioned your business is doing well." That's incredible. Maybe we could meet and discuss supporting each other, financially or otherwise. We've hit some rough patches you might help with. I stopped there, the letter heavy in my lap. I knew the rest. We miss you. You're still family. Call us soon. I walked to the window. The party lights still swayed outside. Memories of laughter, of people celebrating me, lingered. This wasn't about mending bonds, it was about control. For once, they didn't dictate my role. I wasn't Nathan the errand boy, the weirdo, the shame. I was Nathan, self-made. And they hated it. I picked up the letter again, the final page. We'd love to visit, maybe bring some wine, take pictures, show everyone how proud we are. Your dad would enjoy that. My jaw clenched. Not let's reconnect, but let's pose. Let's show off now that it suits us. That night, I didn't reply. I scanned the letter, saved it digitally, then lit a fire outside. Sipping a drink, I watched the pages burn, curling into ash. 2 days later, Rachel tagged me in a Facebook post. A family dinner photo, all smiles, captioned, "Some forget their roots, but we know what real love is." Comments poured in. Aunt Clara, "Family first always." Caleb, "No egos here, just bonds." Mom, "Absolutely." Then buried low, a high school friend commented, "Didn't Nathan just throw a party? Where were you guys?" It was deleted minutes later. I didn't respond. I didn't share. I watched, knowing a bigger moment was coming, one they'd notice. I didn't reply to Rachel's post or text anyone. I let them pretend nothing had changed, that I still revolved around them. But while they played their game, I got to work. A month earlier, a local magazine had pitched profiling me as a rising entrepreneur. My tech work, my journey. I declined then, wary of the spotlight. Now I called them back. We set the interview for the next week. I didn't dress up or rehearse. I just spoke plainly about years of freelancing, late nights, building from scratch, and being dismissed by those who only valued one kind of success. I didn't name my family, but their shadow loomed in my pauses, my silences. The article ran with the headline, "From Flop to Founder, How One Local Outcast Built a Seven-Figure Empire." It featured a photo of me on my balcony, city lights aglow. The caption, "Nathan Reed, 34, says he never belonged and finally stopped trying." I shared it on LinkedIn, tagged the magazine, and let it spread. The response was swift. Clients messaged, recruiters reached out, old classmates wrote, "Congrats." My college professor commented, "You always had potential, Nathan. Your final project was visionary." But the real moment came 3 days later. Dad texted, "Saw the article. Nice house. Would have been good to be included. Let us know when we can visit." I didn't reply. Mom called 3 times the next day. I didn't answer. Rachel texted, "Can we talk? Just us?" I agreed to meet at a cafe near our old neighborhood, neutral ground. She was there when I arrived, stirring her cappuccino, searching the foam for courage. "Hey," she said softly. I sat across from her. "Hey." We sat in silence until she exhaled and said, "I know we were awful. I won't pretend otherwise. We didn't respect you, and that was wrong." I nodded, letting her continue. "I think it was partly jealousy, maybe fear. You didn't follow the usual path. No grad school, no marriage, no perfect social media life. When it worked out anyway, it unsettled us. I hadn't expected that candor." "But Nathan," she continued, "cutting us out like that. The party, the photos, the article. It made us look like strangers." I leaned forward. "That's because you are. You stopped being my people years ago. I never had the guts to say how much it hurt when you mocked me, sidelined me, treated me like a mascot instead of family. You pushed me away." Her jaw tightened. "So that's it? We're just done?" "No," I said, "but it's different now. I'm not begging for your approval anymore. I'm not handing out free passes to people who question my worth." Her eyes glistened, but she didn't argue. "Okay," she said quietly. "I get it." We talked for 20 more minutes. Not warm, but real. More than I'd gotten in years. She didn't ask for money or to see the house. She just asked, "Can I try to do better?" I said, "Yes," but I meant, "We'll see." Then came the pushback. 2 weeks later, Dad tried to arrange a family dinner, just the 5 of us. I declined politely, saying I was swamped with work. True, as I was preparing for a tech conference in Seattle. The next day, Caleb left a voicemail. "Think you're above us now because you got lucky? You're still the same awkward loser, Nathan. Money doesn't buy respect, it just builds walls." He was right about the walls. I was still quiet, introspective, a bit clumsy, but I wasn't weak anymore. I didn't need their validation to exist. That weekend, I hosted another gathering. Small, just close friends, mentors, and one guest, Rachel. She arrived with wine and a shy smile. I showed her the house, watching her eyes widen at each room. "You really did this?" she kept saying. "You made it happen?" I smiled, no bitterness. "Yeah, I did." Rachel seemed different that night, quieter, more thoughtful. She lingered in my office, studying the whiteboard of ideas, the plaques, the framed articles. While clearing plates, she said, "This is the first time I've seen you as the lead in your own story." I laughed softly. "That's because I stopped waiting for permission." When she left, she hugged me, not the tense, obligatory kind, but something warmer, real. I didn't feel drained. I felt liberated. That night, I checked my email, 3 from Mom, 1 from Dad. I didn't open them, but there was also one from a podcast team inviting me to an episode, The Strength of Being Overlooked. I said yes. When it aired, I added an unscripted line. "Sometimes the best revenge is proving them wrong. It's building a life so rich that their opinions don't matter, not because you erase them, but because you outgrow them." I named no names. I didn't need to. They heard it. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a disappointment. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.